As a veteran and the first Latino legislator in the state of New Jersey, Senator Cruz Perez is making a mark as an advocate for veterans and the immigrant community. We learn how Rutgers University is helping to bridge the gap for affordable education. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. I'm honored to have as my guest Senator Nilsa Cruz Perez, who is a veteran and in 1995 became the first Latina legislator in the state of New Jersey. She is currently representing New Jersey's 5th legislative district. Senator, welcome to Latino Motion.
Muchísimas gracias. Buenos días. Thank you for the invitation. I love the show.
Well,
Thank you for having me. Gracias.
It's a great honor, truly a great honor to have you.
It's my honor to be in the show.
And I know you've had a illustrious career as a legislator, and currently you're serving as a senator. But tell me a little bit about your story, how you got started.
Well, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, in Bayamón, Puerto Rico. In my last year of college, in my 4th year of college, I decided to join in the military. And I joined in the military. I was serving for 6 years. I was stationed in Germany.
Well, you have a family history of service.
Absolutely.
Your daughter's also in the military.
My daughter is in the military. She actually became one of the first combat engineer in the whole nation.
Wow.
My father was in the Korean War. I have to call it a war, not a conflict. He get offended. Of course, we come from a long line of service members in our family. So I joined in the military, and then in 1990, I moved to New Jersey.
So what got you involved in politics?
Camden City. And I say Camden City because I moved to Camden City, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing in Camden City. It was a city that had so much potential, but yet so much destruction. And I felt that I needed to get involved. So I got involved in Camden City. I became assistant to the mayor in Camden City. I also was a committee woman. I was serving in the zoning board. And in 1995, I was asked to run for the state assembly, which I did.
Well, thanks to your leadership, and that city's turned around significantly, and we see all the nice things that are happening in Camden right now.
I knew it was a diamond in the rough, and the potential was there. It was once the moving engine of South Jersey, and now it's again the moving engine of South Jersey.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of your passion as a legislator, and veterans obviously is something that you're very much taking the cost and fighting the fight for veterans. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about some of the things you're doing for veterans.
Oh my God, there's so many pieces of legislation that I have as a sponsor. So let me start for saying, believe it or not, there's people who discriminate against veterans because they're veterans and they don't, for whatever reason, to me, that is beyond my comprehension. I sponsor legislation that actually make it a crime to discriminate and prohibit services to veterans under any circumstances. I also sponsor legislation that will exempt active duty personnel from jury duty. The last thing they need, especially our National Guard is constantly deployed, is to be in active duty status and be called to serve as a jury duty, which is noble, but you don't need, especially when you're taking training, to be deployed overseas. Another piece of legislation that I introduced, it was extend discriminations against military in the jobs. A lot of people don't want to take people who are in the military. They should, because they have perfect training, But unfortunately, the fear of them being deployed, they don't want to, sometimes they want to discriminate and say, well, unfortunately, you don't qualify, but it's just because they know they're serving in the military and because of the number of people that has been deployed from New
very
Jersey.
short-sighted. So they're basically making an investment on an employee, but they don't want to give them up, and that's unfortunate because they should be willing to help.
And believe it or not, people will say, but how many people will do that? You'll be amazed the number of people that actually will not hire military personnel because they fear that they will have to be deployed and they will have to pay and they will have to keep the job open for them when they come back. So now it's a crime. Now it's a crime. If you discriminate, it's going to be a crime.
I know there's been criticism, if you will, about the services available to veterans after they've served and they need medical care and so forth. Tell me a little bit about some of those issues.
One piece of legislation that I'm working is to expand the property tax relief for veterans that have 100% disability. Right now, only the person that have 100% and it was a service connected are entitled to that benefit. I'm trying to expand it where if you have a disability, it doesn't matter whether you serve or not, you have a disability that benefit will be expanded to all the veterans. Another piece of legislation is actually include the New Jersey Transportation Discount Project for seniors to add veterans to that benefit also.
So when it comes to Veterans Affairs, certainly you are a great advocate for it, and you certainly have quite a number of bills that you sponsored. Let's shift gears a little bit, if you don't mind, and talk a little bit about some of the other things you've been working on. And one of them is towards maybe make it possible for undocumented to have a driver's license. Tell me a little bit about that movement.
With that project is something that I'm working with Senator Vitale and Assemblywoman Annette Quijano. We have done extensive research. We have gone to different states that have license for undocumented. And we had a final bill that we thought it was great in the state of New Jersey. Unfortunately, it didn't have enough support from many of the colleagues because they have a number of issues. And to be honest with you, we need to provide some kind of identification for an undocumented population in the state of New Jersey, especially if you're driving in New Jersey. So we're still working now with everything that is happening at the national level. I have a serious concern now that I didn't have before about using this driver's license to actually track down undocumented in New Jersey. So we need to start working again and start seeing what's going to happen to the states that have the driver's license for undocumented residents.
And we want to continue that discussion because it's a whole big issue in terms of undocumented and impact that it has throughout the whole community. And I know that you're getting calls and requests in your office. We want to talk a little bit more about that. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Senator Nilsa Cruz Perez, representing the 5th Legislative District. And Senator, we were talking about some of the challenges that the immigrant community has. And it just happens that Camden is the only county that has an Office of Hispanic Affairs, and you happen to be in charge of that office. Tell me a little bit about some of the work you're doing there.
I work for Camden County on my other hat, and I oversee the Department of Constituent Service, which has the Division of Hispanic Affairs and Veterans Affairs for Camden County. And you're absolutely right. We have the Division of Hispanic Affairs. We provide all type of services. We connect the population to the services that the county have to offer. We do translation. We do notaries. We answer any question. We help them with any benefits that they're entitled, that they're not receiving, and they are not aware of the programs. So we actually received all the population, regardless of their status in this nation.
With immigration and fear of deportation, some people are going to get some notaries to sign documents to name a guardian for their children in the event they should be deported. And there's some people that are taking advantage of that situation. What advice do you give?
Well, let me tell you something. In the last couple of weeks, I have probably around 30 people coming into the office because they know we can write a letter and we can notarize the letter in our office. When I people start coming into the office, they were asking me, I want to transfer custody of my kids. Can you do a letter and you notarize? That's not a legal document. It have to be a document for you to transfer a guardianship from you to somebody else. It have to be recorded in court. Actually, we are in the process, Camden County is in the process to work with our Congressman Donald Norcross, the Surrogate Office, Michelle Gentek, and the Camden County Freeholder Carmen Rodriguez. We're going to have a seminar. We're going to explain to the people what the process is. I've been writing their names so I can invite them. We're going to be probably doing it. I know we're doing it at the St. Joseph Cathedral Church in Camden City, where the information is going to be provided. It's a process. They don't have to fear. They can come to the conference and listen to what we have to say. I don't want people to go to people who are saying that this paper is a legal paper, because it's not. And the price that they're charging our population is outrageous. So I encourage people, please do not think that if you notarize a paper changing guardianship, that's a legal document. It's not.
There's certainly a lot of fear, and people are obviously taking advantage. What should they look for if they're going to a notary or some other agency to get documents or even apply for some sort of immigration status? What advice do you give those individuals?
Well, first of all, if they think by writing a letter and just notarizing a letter is a legal document, it's not, unless an attorney is involved and that paper get recorded in the courts. The courts are the only one who can actually allow guardianship to change, and it take immediate effect. A lot of people think that saying, if something happened to me, that's when I am going to give up my kids. No, the moment you sign a paper, a guardianship paper, it starts immediately. So matter of fact, I was talking to the surrogate for Camden County, and one of the issues we were discussing is that to do change of guardianship right now, according to the law, it have to take place immediately. So I'm looking into legislation to see if we can actually change that and have what we call temporary guardianship in an event that something happened to the parents of the kids that need to be transferred to someone else.
And that seems to make a lot of common sense, particularly for those who may be questioning what their status and the probability that something could happen by way of deportation. What happens to those American kids that were born here, and if they have a family relative that they could really turn over custody? It would be great if they could do that planning ahead of time and not wait till the event happens, because then it might be too late to take that kind of action.
Something also that is happening big time, and I oversee the county store where many people go there to get a passport or renew their passport, is that a lot of people who the kids are citizens, they're getting passport for the kids. And I will encourage them to do so. In case they want to leave the country, their children will leave with a passport. So I see a tremendous increase of number of people who are coming they come to our office to help filling out the application. But I do encourage people, if your kids are citizens, get them passports.
And one of the things that we probably should mention is the fact that you don't have to be documented to come in for those services to your office.
You're entitled to come. Every information in my office is confidential. You don't have to fear. We welcome the entire community to come into the Office of Hispanic Affairs, and we will guide you into the right direction for whatever services you're looking for.
Senators, once again, a pleasure having you here on the show. Very informative information, and we look forward to having you back in the future here again at Latino Motion.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you for having me in the show. It has been a pleasure for me to be in your show. God bless you.
Thanks. And stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. Rutgers University is helping to bridge the gap for affordable college education. Here to discuss a revolutionary tuition grant opportunity is Dr. Craig Westman. Dr. Westman, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you're finding a way to make college a little bit more affordable, and I understand that you've been able to increase Latino enrollment at university by 61%.
Yes, sir.
A great accomplishment. Tell me how you did that.
So the program was started from an initiative that our chancellor put to us to say, how can we make Chancellor Hayden, how can we make education more affordable for our South Jersey working class families that have incomes that's roughly between $0 and $100,000? And so the program looks at the adjusted gross income that families make. The reason we look at the adjusted gross income is because many of our families are working families that have businesses. And the federal government uses a calculation called expected family contribution, in which the business becomes an asset and as such becomes a detriment to the family. So our program is revolutionary in that it looks at the adjusted gross income, what a family has to live off of. And what we saw through our data was we had a lot of students that had high need, working class families. And so we came up with this program to take what we would have merit monies, disaggregate it, put it aside for need-based students, solely need-based students, working class families that are within this adjusted gross income of 0 to roughly 100,000.
So bottom line, you were able to repurpose some money.
Correct.
And now you're able to attract and make this affordable college education for students in the community, particularly the lower income.
Correct. And so what the program is, it's separated into 2 cohorts. So $0 to $60,000, the Bridging the Gap comes in. It's for New Jersey residents, and after federal and state aid has been applied, so the Pell Grant and TAG monies have been applied to the student accounts, anything that's left for those students whose parents' income is between 0 and 60, the program comes in and picks up tuition and fees. For families that are between $60,000 and $1 to $100,000, it comes in and picks up 50% of what remains of tuition and fees.
So what does that roughly equate to in real dollars for tuition?
So it could equate to, in the lower income bracket, between 0 and 60,000, it could be $500 to $8,000, depending on the family circumstance. And in the next bracket, it could be $500 to $5,000.
So this is very, very good program, certainly revolutionary, and you're attracting students. And this just started in the fall.
It did.
So you saw an immediate influx, if you will, of students that are taking advantage of this.
Correct. And so our freshman class increased by 55%. And I think what's interesting about the program is that our freshman class increased by 55%, and our first generation, this is coming from students whose parents had never gone to school, increased by 48%. And so we've seen an influx of families, first-generation families as well, taking advantage of it.
There's some challenges with that as well, and I know that one of the issues you have is that you have a higher dropout rate, if you will, and not staying with the college education. Are you also wrapping around some other services with that?
Excellent, yes. So we're definitely ratcheting up our student support services to have intervention measures to help students as well. One of the things that this program was created for was to help students to not take as many loans. We don't want them walking out with a lot of loan debt. Camden education is always ranked in the top 10 in terms of best bang for the buck by the Washington Monthly, and so we don't want them to work. We want them to work 20 hours, but not 40 hours. Right. And what we found was many of our incoming freshmen were working at 57% were working close to 40 hours a week. So and we wanted to negate that so they could study.
You're doing something similar to the EOF model, where you are working with the students and really making them or enable them to succeed at their college education.
Yes, and I think that's an excellent analogy as well, because EOF is a strong partner with us on this. It's really a partnership between the federal, state, and Rutgers to make this work for families.
Let's talk a little bit about the college itself, some of the programs that are available at Rutgers at Camden.
So we have essentially 4 colleges on our campus, and we have law. We have a College of Arts and Science, which has a breadth of studies from digital studies to psychology, history. We have a really robust School of Business, and we also have a very robust nursing school. And so those are the 4 colleges, the umbrellas that house all the programs that we have on our campus.
So we'll put up the website. Obviously, if someone wants to take advantage of some more details of your website about the program itself, and they could apply. Right.
Exactly, and applying to the program is very simple. apply to Rutgers-Camden, get admitted, fill out your FAFSA, and we take care of the rest.
A lot of information that is available on the website.
Yes, sir.
So certainly take advantage of that.
Yes.
And you also have people on staff that could readily answer questions as well.
Correct, and then the phone number will be provided as well, so that you can call that phone number and we can answer the questions, as well as financial aid counselors are available to help families.
Now, with this large influx of Latinos coming into Rutgers-Camden now,
Yes.
And you're seeing more engagement with the student body in terms of the Latino clubs and so forth.
Yes, exactly, and I think that's been encouraging because those become important support measures for students when they come in, because they have groups that they can team up with, become part, and become an active part of the campus within those organizations.
I remember my participation in the Latino clubs when I was going to college. It's certainly very supportive, and congratulations. This is a great thing you're doing here to make college education a lot more affordable.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.